Donald Trump was rage posting into the early hours of the night at around 1 a.m. This is what he was posting. Gavin Newsom is way down in the polls. He is viewed as the man who is destroying the once great state of California. I will save California, exclamation point. President DJT. That's what you're doing at 1 a.m. in the morning. Seems like you've got Gavin Newsom on your mind, to which California Governor Gavin Newsom responds with snowflake emojis, because that is the character of a snowflake. Then, again, very late at night, Donald Trump, in all caps, posts, MSNBC is doing so poorly in the ratings that they're looking to change their name in order to get away from the stench of their fake news product. I think the only stench that's out there, and we saw those European leaders around you, is your stench, Donald, both your actual stench and the stench of weakness and fascism that can be smelled on you by European leaders and our enemies like Putin. Then Donald Trump goes on to go, so much fun to watch their weak and ineffective owner Concast, headed by dopey Brian Roberts, hopelessly and aimlessly flailing in the wind in an attempt to disassociate itself from the garbage that they created. MSNBC is failure by any name. I don't know, why don't you just focus on bringing down prices? Why don't you focus on making healthcare accessible for the people? Why don't you focus on making education accessible for the people? One of the things that I like about California Governor Newsom mocking Donald Trump in the style that Donald Trump does is to point out just the entire idiocracy of this. And when you see the right-wing snowflakes go, oh, why would you, as the governor of the biggest state, behave like this? He's mocking Donald Trump's behavior because this behavior right now is so unbecoming of anyone near any proximity of any leadership position, yet alone the presidency of the United States. And then once Donald Trump doesn't fulfill one of his promises, or what I call his actual affirmative frauds, what does he say? Well, I never really meant that we would bring peace to Ukraine in 24 hours. I was clearly being sarcastic. I'm a jokester. I'm like a stand-up comedian. These are deeply serious times and deeply unserious people, represented by the fascist clown himself in Donald Trump. And by the way, he's sending emails like this out now almost every other day. I know you don't see this really anywhere else. I subscribe to his emails so you don't have to, but it's very telling what's taking place right here. So this morning you wake up and you get an email like this. Please, I'm starting to worry. You've got one last shot. Ben, this is getting sad. I've asked you so many times to complete my official MAGA poll. I'm worried about you. This is your last chance. So I just look, because I'm pretty confident I got this email multiple times. And if you look, he sends it on August 17th, August 14th, August 11th, August 7th, August 6th. Basically every day or every 3 days, he sends his supporters letters saying, I'm starting to worry about you. This is getting sad. My feelings are getting hurt. This is part of the abusive manipulation. It's very intentional, and it's done as a cult leader to say, are you moving away from me? I need you. Aren't we so close together? That's what these tactics are, and I just want to call him out right now. Then Donald Trump posts actual fake polls about himself. 59% approval rating for President Trump. Massive lead over the Democrats. Like, he's his own source now for polls. He gets rid of all of the data people in the government as well, creates his own data, has his own people do his own fake polls. Donald Trump is the lowest polling president in the history of the United States at this time. If you're so popular, then tell your MAGA Republicans, rather than going back to their districts where they're now eliminating Democratic congressional seats like the freaking fascists that you all are, why don't you tell them to hold town halls in front of the people, in front of their constituents, look their constituents in the eyes and explain why they ripped away their constituents' healthcare, why they ripped away their constituents' futures, why things are getting way more expensive, why we're tariffing the world based on your dictatorial fantasies, fantasies, why you're out there coddling Putin in Alaska and throwing Ukraine under the bus. Why don't you hold town halls and speak proudly about your disastrous budget bill and find out what the people really think about you? And if you're so confident, then why are you trying to rig the midterms? Oh, that's right, because you're a fascist like Vladimir Putin. You are a vile piece of trash, and you are a scared and weak human being who we, the people, will eventually defeat. You don't scare us for 1 minute. Other posts from Donald Trump this morning are all along those lines. Any California school district that doesn't adhere to our transgender policies will not be funded. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Okay, go. Tough guy, huh? Tough guy. Picking on the transgender community. Bow down to Putin. Make our troops get down on their knees in front of Vladimir Putin. But you pick on the transgender kid because that's what weak and pathetic people like you do. Rather than uplift, rather than put your arm around marginalized communities, you beat people down. That's what you do. That's what bullies do. That's what weak people do. Oh, and then Donald Trump made this post saying that if he's able to rig the midterms the way he's trying to do right now, like he did in Texas yesterday, where they've now got rid of the 5 Democratic seats, then there doesn't need to be politics anymore. You just have Donald Trump as the dictator. This is literally what he writes. I mean, he goes, big win for the great state of Texas. Everything passed on our way to 5 more congressional seats and saving your rights and your freedoms and your country itself. Texas never lets us down. Florida, Indiana, and others are looking to do the same thing. More seats equals less crime. Just pause there for a second. The highest crime is in red states. Why don't you send your National Guard to the red states? Oh, wait, it's because you're a fascist and you want to literally destroy our democracy and destroy blue states. We need to speak about these things, folks, in the accurate terms of what's taking place here, that he's sending the military against blue states because what he would like to do is send them all out there before the midterms, scare people into not going out to vote, rig the election to get all of these Democratic seats eliminated. And that's their hope. That's their only hope right there. But you know who did stuff like that? Hitler. You know who do stuff like that? Putin. You know who does stuff like that? Lukashenko. That's who Donald Trump's in. And by the way, the rest of the world looks at America right now like a fascist state. You want to know why tourism is down so much? You can brag and say, nobody's crossing the border. Nobody crosses the border of North Korea. Okay, no one wants to be in Kim Jong-un's North Korea. You know how many friends and people I know from other countries saying they canceled their trips into the United States because they're fearful they're going to get put into freaking concentration camps, for which you're now building 1,000 concentration camps across the country and disappearing human beings? Sorry, I digress. This goes on to talk about more seats equals less crime, a great economy, and a strong Second Amendment. He's just saying the freaking MAGA brain rot. You're not doing any actual progress for people. It means happiness and peace. But Republicans, there's one thing even better. Stop mail-in voting, a total fraud that has no bounds. Also go to paper ballots before it's too late. At 1/10 the cost, faster and more reliable. If we do these 2 things, we'll pick up 100 seats. And the crooked game of politics is over. God bless America. What a dangerous and vile, disgusting piece of trash this is. There's no other way around it. I'm sorry, I could try to search for other words, but there really isn't anything other than the worst human being ever in the United States of America. This message is brought to you by our sponsor, Americans United for Separation of Church and State. You don't destroy 250 years of secular democracy without gutting the rule of law, shattering norms, and dropping a few $1 billion. The same people and groups that backed Project 2025 are part of a larger shadow network that's relentlessly pushing to impose a Christian nationalist agenda on our laws and lives. The wall between church and state is the last safeguard blocking their agenda. We at the MeidasTouch podcast support their goal of forming a thriving democracy that functions and advances towards its promises. If you're a regular here, you know we're all about empowering ourselves and our viewers and finding ways to create hope in these wild and terrifying times. One of the places I found hope in are organizations just like Americans United for Separation of Church and State. AU is quite the force. It's fighting daily to preserve freedom without favor and equality without exception for every single American. They advocate for every individual's right to believe and live as you choose, so long as you don't harm others. Now that is what freedom really is all about. Whether you're passionate about gender affirming healthcare, reproductive rights, LGBTQ plus rights, or supporting our public schools, church-state separation touches almost every constitutional freedom. If you're looking for a way to take action and support our fundamental freedoms, join Americans United for Separation of Church and State and their growing movement, because church-state separation protects us all. Learn more and join the fight at au.org/Meidas. That's au.org/Meidas. One more time, it's the letter A, the letter U.org/Meidas, and you spell Meidas Meidas. Oh, and then as he is allowing Russia to attack Ukraine at rates significantly higher than ever before, as he's no longer even talking about ceasefire, Trump has the audacity to write this. It's very hard, if not impossible. By the way, all these posts late last night into this morning. It's very hard, if not impossible, to win a war without attacking an invader's country. It's like a great team in sports that has a fantastic defense, but is not allowed to play offense. There's no chance of winning. It is like that with Ukraine and Russia. Crooked and grossly incompetent Joe Biden would not let Ukraine fight back, only defend. How did that work out? Regardless, this is a war that would never have happened if I were president. Zero chance. Interesting times ahead. President DJT. You're just going to continue to blame former President Biden for anything, as you literally bent the knee, as you kneeled, as you put our soldiers on their knees, rolling out a red carpet for Vladimir Putin, as you attack Ukraine, as you withhold weapons from Ukraine. You're going to attack Biden, who gave Ukraine the intelligence to stop Kyiv from being taken over in 3 days, who worked with our allies to support Ukraine. Probably could have supported Ukraine more. Fair point, but he supported Ukraine and kept Ukraine free and sovereign, unlike you who wants to sell out Ukraine and NATO and the rest of the Western world to Putin. It's obvious what you want to do. Oh, and then he has Lindsay Halligan, his former lawyer. She's been making the rounds. She goes on one of these right-wing propaganda shows today, and she goes, why are we talking about slavery and all how bad slavery is at the Smithsonian? Why are we doing that? Here's what Halligan says. Play this clip.
So while slavery is obviously a horrible aspect of our nation's history, you can't really talk about slavery honestly unless you also talk about hope and progress. And I think we need to be focusing on the progress that we've made since then, and we need to stop focusing so much on the lack of progress. We need to keep moving forward as a country.
Then Donald Trump puts on Bill Pulte, who's appointed himself chairman of Fannie Mae, who's also the head of the Fair Housing Agency. And so what he does, this Bill Pulte guy, is he looks through all of Donald Trump's political opponents, like mortgage records, and he goes, ooh, if you sign this, and I think that there's fraud there. And then he makes DOJ referrals against Donald Trump's political enemies. And he usually he's targeted New York Attorney General Letitia James. He's targeted the first ever African-American Federal Reserve Governor, Lisa Cook. He's trying to push her off because they want to get rid of anybody who doesn't support Donald Trump's fascist views of the Federal Reserve, which would just destroy our economy and make it look like Russia. But here's what Bill Pulte went on TV and talked about his criminal referrals. I mean, to have the head of the Fair Housing Agency, have you ever seen previous Fair Housing Agency and chairman of Fannie Mae on TV talking about political things, yet alone talking about how they're going to go after Trump's political enemies? That's what's called raw, unadulterated fascism. Here, play this clip.
And I think it's very disrespectful both to the country, to the president, and frankly, even to the Federal Reserve for this lady to stay in office.
Well, look, grand juries, what is this going to take, 18 months or something? I mean, when you get a criminal referral, this could go on now for a year. No?
I mean, you can move very quick. I mean, look, this is a black and white situation from my perspective. It's either did she sign these documents or not. You know, it's funny is they tried to go after President Trump on, complete nonsense. He was totally innocent. In this case, you see these signatures. Did you sign this document or did you not? And, she can say whatever she wants, but at the end of the day, the facts speak for themselves. And I'll tell you, this is the hottest story in the world right now. Maria, for the very reason that people get it. You can't go and fraudulently represent things that aren't true in order to procure a loan. And the elites and the wealthy class, this is why President Trump won in a landslide, because the people are sick and tired of this crap.
MeidasTouch got a great shout out from Congressmember Robert Garcia last night at his swearing in by former Vice President Kamala Harris. He's now the ranking member of the Intelligence Committee. Let's play this.
And so I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to welcome all of you as friends. We also have, believe it or not, this is being right now streamed live by MeidasTouch to their 5 million subscribers, which are over here. If you guys don't know MeidasTouch, hey guys, thanks for all that they do. And I'm really grateful to them for continuing to particularly cover things that sometimes the mainstream media may not cover. And so thank you to those partners.
And after this video, Michael Popok's going to do a hot take on the ruling by the New York Appeals Court, which the headline is New York Appeals Court throws out $500 million civil judgment against Donald Trump. The sharply divided panel's decision paves the way for further proceedings before the state's highest court. It's a very confusing headline. When you read the opinion, it was a 5-court panel at the appeals level in the case where Donald Trump inflated and deflated assets. They didn't find that the underlying theory of fraud was wrong. They said that the judgment was excessive, but there's multiple different rulings on it. So there was actually no definitive ruling. It goes to the highest court now in New York to actually make the final ruling about the judgment. It'll go to the New York Court of Appeals, which is their highest court. So there was some, I think, misinformation about the ruling that it said that Donald Trump was innocent. It did not say that. It just said that the amount was excessive, and now it's up to the Court of Appeals to decide the right amount or no amount at all. But that's what that ruling was. But we'll do a more fulsome hot take here so you get the accurate data. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers. Thanks for watching.
The truth is more important than ever. Check out our new Truth Over Lies collection at store.meidastouch.com. All 100% USA union made.